Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at a Tier 10 Japanese premium destroyer, and that's the currently available Hayate. Now, this is going to be a difficult video for two reasons. Because the Hayate is a very good ship. At the same time, I don't like it. So I'm going to be kind of trying to balance here between my personal preference and a somewhat objective view on what the ship is capable of. But yeah, let's have a look at what this ship is all about. Now this is what does it say here? It says it's a Hayate class. There was no Hayate class. There was an actual Hayate, which was a Kamikaze class destroyer, and has the somewhat dubious honor of being the first Japanese destroyer that was sunk during the Second World War. And but that's not this one. This is, well, for all intents and purposes, it's a Shimakaze. And the Shimakaze actually did exist, and we'll talk about that more if ever I get around to doing a Shimakaze review. But this is sort of a Shimakaze. Now, the difference, and that's probably where we can start out, is in, well, the guns and the torpedoes a little bit. So the first thing that stands out is that the Hayate gets 2 smoke screens and 1 torpedo reload, whereas the Shimakaze only gets 1 smoke screen. The Hayate gets more hit points, but otherwise pretty much the exact same hull. The Hayate isn't quite as fast and maneuverable as the Shimakaze. Now, the Shimakaze was an extremely fast destroyer because she had a super high pressure experimental set of boilers, and she was actually a really, really quick ship. The Hayate is lagging a little bit behind here. The guns, this is where it gets interesting. So the Shimakaze has the 127mm third year type destroyer guns. These were the standard guns that were built on all, pretty much most of the Japanese destroyers that weren't dedicated anti-airships, like Akizuki and her friends. The Hayate gets the Type 5 guns. Now, the Type 5 guns actually existed, and they were meant to be a late war design for more modern destroyers. They were never actually used on destroyers, and there were just, I think, a few of them built, but they were used as AA guns in port defense because the Japanese Navy was actually responsible for the air defense of their port facilities. So that's where these guns were used in single mounts rather than in the dual mounts. But this is not unprecedented. So this gun is actually making sense here. So if we assume that the Hayate here is a sister ship to the Shimakaze of some sort, which got the more advanced destroyer guns, and these guns are firing faster by a second, have a bit of a longer reload, a bit of a longer range, do more damage, and rotate better. The torpedoes are exactly the same torpedoes. The launchers, on the other hand, the Hayate only gets 2 quintuple launchers, whereas the Shimakaze gets 3 of them. That's where the torpedo reload booster comes in. The AA is better on the Hayate, and once again, this is probably down to the 127mm guns actually being somewhat dual purpose on this ship. And the concealment is better as well. So this is the same base concealment that you would find, for example, on the gearing. So this would be among the best top tier 10 concealments that you can find. So what does this all tell us? Well, it sort of tells us that this is trying to be a gunboat a bit, while at the same time maintaining, well, not being a pure gunboat like you would find on the gunboat line, but more of a kind of Shimakaze with a bit more gunboat slant to it. There is a legendary commander, And I have actually put this commander in because there's currently there was a victory blitz thing. So if you actually manage to get the Hayate out of crate, then you get the legendary commander thrown in, I think after like 5 victories or something. So more or less for free. And this commander has a very relevant skill, and that is the tier 10 skill, a night raid, because that skill gives the ship an additional engine accelerator, an additional smoke, and an additional torpedo reload, which coincidentally is the exact set of skills that the Hayate has. Now you could use this on a Shima and get a second smoke. We have the, where is it? I'm gonna have to actually pull the Harugumo up. The Harugumo can't really use it effectively, I think. I mean, 3 smokes is nice. I don't know if you would need 4 smokes, but you most certainly don't need 4 torpedo reloads, because 3 torpedo reloads, because the torpedo reload 1 has a 120-second cooldown, and there's no way of reducing that as far as I'm aware. So, which means on a 7-minute battle, having a 3rd torpedo reload means that you have to use your first one after a minute, and most likely you haven't even spotted anything after a minute, or at least not something that you can dunk your torpedoes onto. So, not sure for this one. For the Shima, it kind of works, but yeah, he's definitely very specialized for the Hayate, because with that, the Hayate now suddenly has 4 engine accelerators, 3 smoke screens, and 2 torpedo reloads, which 2 torpedo reloads makes a lot of sense. So twice in a battle, you're a Shimakaze. With better guns and more smokes, but lower speed and lower maneuverability on the flip side, and a little bit more hit points. So kind of like a gunboat Shima. All right, I have equipment-wise main battery mode 1 because, well, gunboat. You could use main battery mode 2 for faster fire rates, not a bad thing as well. You could go for the torpedo mod to get a faster torpedo reload if you want. But the torpedo's tubes are somewhat squishy on these things, so I'm not sure I would necessarily want to go there. Steering in slot 2 instead of propulsion, because, I mean, you could use propulsion as well, but she is a little bit sluggish on the rudder. Both valid choices, and definitely concealment in slot 3 is kind of what you want to do, because that brings her down to 5.47 kilometers, which is with the historical camo and everything else on, which is pretty much of what you could achieve best in class in a tier 10 destroyer. So similar to what you could do in a gearing. I think the Daring has a similar concealment as well. The historical camo, I have put that on because the crates actually contain it. So there's a fair chance that anyone who's been spending enough gold on gambling crates to actually get a Hayate out of there at some point along the way managed to pick up the historical camo on this thing as well. At least on the large cratey things. I think the cheaper crate doesn't have it. But yeah, I've put it on. It gives us, I think it's the exact same as on the Shima. It gives us torpedo range, torpedo speed, which actually gets these torpedoes up to a very, very respectable 72 knots. This is almost second only to the pan-European, so Swedish destroyers. So fast torps, and gets us a better traverse, which is good, really, and better, obviously, the 4% surface detection. There is a weird-looking camo here, like a very black-red sort of thing. And the main difference here between the two of them is that it trades the torpedo speed for main battery firing range. So if you want to gunboat more, that's not also a bad thing. Actually, I haven't really gone through the details on this commander, so let's have a very quick look what he can do. We've got the underwater protection. He's got an additional torpedo alert, so this helps out a little bit, I guess, if you're dealing with enemy destroyers. We get a better preheating, which gives us more speed and acceleration at the onset of the battle. We get a better Daredevil. We get the improved Mistweaver, which is really, really nice. And down the road, he has an improved Giant Hunter, which means we're doing more damage with torpedoes against anything that is larger than a destroyer. So this all sounds great. Terry, why don't you like that ship? Well, you see, torpedo boat destroyers are kind of one-trick ponies. So starting, I think, round about the Kagero is where I stopped, because you get to every minute and a half you get to dunk your torpedoes in the water, and you have to do it sort of at like 6-kilometer range, and then you get out of there and then wait for your torpedoes to reload and do it all over again, which works really well against things like stationary battleships, which are oblivious to those things. It doesn't work so well if you're faced with anything else, because you can't just use your torpedoes to, like imagine you're going into a domination battle, and you're running into, I don't know, a Soviet destroyer. What are you going to do? You're going to dunk your torpedoes in the water and then bugger out of there, which means then you got to wait for a minute and a half to reload, for them to reload, and then hope that you find yourself another position where you can actually do something about a battleship. It severely limits the utility of what you do, because you are really just like that. You are a hard counter against oblivious battleships. A lot of things these days have sonar. A lot of things these days have radar. All the Soviet cruisers have radar, which once they're aware of where you are, mean that's really difficult. Play a center cup map. Good luck playing a Japanese torpedo boat destroyer in what's it called, epicenter, right? Because you just can't do those things, or not really very well, and you're depending on the enemy team to goof up. But you're having a really hard time to do anything that you're not designed for. These are not multi-role ships, and I personally like multi-role ships. Now these things are very, very good at what they're doing, but you kind of have to play them to their strength. Really, you can't go and capture the center. You kind of have to sneak around the sides and try to get shots into battleships. These sort of things. The other thing is the gun layout. So as you might notice, 2/3 of the firepower is in the rear, which means that if you're going forward and actually trying to engage a destroyer, and this is where kind of the Hayate doesn't really, it's kind of a little bit air for me. It wants to be a gunboat, but you can only do a subset of what gunboats, in my opinion, should be about. So gunboats, in my opinion, are also destroyer, not hunters necessarily, but able to hold their own against enemy destroyers. And the gun layout really doesn't help here, because you have to kite away and run away, which means that you can't actually contest things. You have to, you have to run away mostly from stuff. And that's just a playstyle that I personally don't like. Now, I'm not saying this is wrong or bad. So like I mentioned at the onset of the video, this is a good ship. This is a very, very good ship. And so is the Shimakaze. If she works, she can do amazing things. But it's not my personal style that I would play in random battles and enjoy. So yeah, that's that. All right. Anything else to mention? What I have not talked about. The elite bonus. You can get better torpedoes, or you can get better engine. Given that she is falling behind the Shima in that regard, I've kind of used the advanced engine here, because that also gives us an acceleration bonus, and means it's a more valid choice to use the steering gear mod here rather than the propulsion system. All right, I think we've covered all the things. So let me show you some gameplay, because I have tried. I have tried to make her work in the way that I like to play destroyers, which obviously she isn't quite designed for, but at least maybe we get some chuckles out of it. So let's do this. In the first battle, we are playing Domination on Cage, which is one of my favorite modes, honestly. We're up against Vermont, Minnesota, Izumo, Worcester, Des Moines, Yuyang, and another Hayate on the enemy team. These things are quite frequent at the moment, but we do have a Smolensk on our side, I'm afraid I have to admit, so that's a thing. But and we've got actually a Shima on our side as well. But yeah, Worcester definitely being an issue, obviously, and so is Des Moines. But we are spawning over around C Cup, so I'm going to try and sneak through C, and then kind of head over and contest B. So C is our natural, and B is going to be the one we're going to be contesting, and it's the other way around for the enemy team. So engine boost up, and she actually, with all the equipment and things and captain skills, does 45 knots when the engine boost up, which is nothing to sneeze at really for a destroyer. So she can be proper quick if you've set her up correctly and, you know, done all the things that you can do. So we are going to grab C, and we're actually contesting B. That's the enemy destroyer. That's the friendly destroyer over there. But yeah, B is now contested, and there's the Yu Yang. So obviously, this being a gunboat, I am thinking of opening up, and the Worcester is here and is radaring me. So good that I'm sticking behind this island. So let's try and do something about Worcester while we're here, because he doesn't seem to be looking at me. Now he is. Now he is. And he's got the armor piercing loaded. So yeah, we do not want to get our rear guns to bear, but we just want to be smoking up because his radar is now on cooldown. And maybe dunk some torpedoes in his general direction just to, you know, push him out of here. But never gonna hit. So I just want Worcester not to be doing anything about this capture circle. Ideally, I would like to get my hands on that group of battleships back there, but you know, there's a Worcester in the way, which is unfortunate. So I can't. So this is not the right place for me to be. It would be great if my team was doing anything, but it doesn't look like my team is interested in shooting at the Worcester. So I'm just gonna back off here and see if I get myself unspotted again. The Worcester doesn't seem to be wanting to come anywhere near us. So it's time to help out the Shima against the Yu Yang over there. And oh, there's another battleship coming in this way. Maybe that's a Vermont. Okay, maybe we can do something about this guy. So that might be neat. Let's see. Is he going to notice that I'm here? Obviously my detection isn't down yet, so I am going to be spotted here. And I don't want to use the torpedo reload. I've got 19 seconds, so I'm just going to engine boost out of here and hope that the Vermont didn't notice me. He did. So well, but he doesn't seem to be changing his course. So we're going to set another set off on him. Ow! That hurt. I'm not sure why that hurt so much. So that he must have got some lucky pens with those guns, because that hurt a lot more than I thought it would with the Vermont's overpenetrations. But well, we'll dunk some more torpedoes in his general direction. And then we're going to bugger off and see if we can heal up a little bit, because that hurt more than was legal. And the Worcester is still shooting at me, and the Vermont obviously is annoyed as well. But we've got some torpedo hits on him. You see, tier 10, I don't expect people to sail in straight lines in their battleships. But well, the Shima is probably going to take him out if he continues doing that. But I think he's now learned his lesson and is actually turning away. So yeah, that hurt. Must have been a bunch of lucky full pens on the Vermont side there. Maybe he's just sailing into all those Shima torps. I think he's sailing into all those Shima torps. Okay, that's Des Moines. And B Cup, we're not holding B Cup, but I think the Yu Yang that was in there is dead by now. So I'm not going to shoot at the Des Moines. Although, meh, he seems busy with someone else. All right, let's shoot at him. No one's targeting me right now. So see, this is the thing, right? I'm in a gunboat. I can't just not shoot my guns. You know, that'd be a waste. Okay, there's the enemy Hayate. So, no, the cup was not as empty as I thought it was going to be. So he might have torpedoes away. And now I'm actually getting shot at by people. So this is a bit of a problem now. I'm not sure if that's the Des Moines, but I'm going to smoke up here and get myself undetected. There come the Hayate torps, because he was assuming that I was going to go around. Other than the Worcester is obviously now shooting at me, and the Des Moines is shooting at me as well, and I really, really don't like being shot at by these guys. So let's dunk some torpedoes in that direction, and then make ourselves scarce here, because yeah, the enemy Hayate has smoked up, and he thinks I'm coming around that way. Well, not with the Worcester right there. What do you think I am, crazy? I mean, yes, but not that crazy, okay? All right, let's use our last torpedo reload and see if we can get some up. We're spotted again. That must be the enemy Hayate. We'll just dunk some general torpedoes in that direction and then bugger the crap out of there. Oh, there he is. Hello. Okay, I'm sailing away from him and he doesn't look at me, so maybe he's gonna eat a torp there. How did he not get hit by that torpedo? I'm calling shenanigans on that one. Alright then. Well, I'm just going to keep shooting at him then. Okay. So we do have some backup, and we are now holding... And actually, the Worcester might be running into my torpedoes there. So... oh, who put that island there? Oh, I've got Worcester shooting at me, and I've run into an island. That is unfortunate. Unfortunately, the Worcester is far away, and the Worcester can't hit the broadside of a barn from the inside at that range. So all I need to do is actually, you know, use WASD hacks, and the enemy Hayate is kind of dying here. Once again, I am tempted to give more broadside than I should, because I want to get my rear guns to bear. And the Worcester is on low health, but yeah, you know, he hasn't learned yet that destroyers can turn a ship around. So he's dead. And I'm not. And I think we've won this at this point. So I'm just going to grab B Cup and then see what else we can do with the remaining 4,800 hit points we have. What's left? The Des Moines and one of the battleships. So let's just grab some more capture points. And I have no more torpedo reloads. And we're going to see if we can set the Des Moines on fire. But yeah, once again, because of the gun layout, I can't do things like... did I just shoot off the Des Moines engine with my 127mm guns? I don't know. Anyway, let's dunk some torpedoes in the general direction, because the Izumo looks like he's reversing. See if we can get the kill on the Des Moines. Yep, we can. And then we're going to... Of course, the Izumo is shooting at me, and that hurt. And yeah, that was it. But I might get some revenge on him still with my torpedoes in the water if he keeps reversing like this. And if nobody manages to kill him before my torpedoes actually get there. Yeah, my vengeance is mine. So, you might be thinking, well, this worked well. Yeah, but this is not what the ship is meant to be doing, I feel. And the gun layout just really doesn't work for me with the guns in the rear. It always tempts me to give way more broadside than I should be. Yeah, as I've seen, as you've seen with the Vermont salvo there, that almost went wrong. But yeah, what's it got? 3 solo caps. So that's what you want to do in a gunboat destroyer, right? But I don't know. Let's do a second one. And in this battle, you might notice that I haven't included a carrier battle because, you know, these carrier battles are no fun in these things. Because you play for a minute and then you get killed, and that's it. So there's really no point in... What you can do if you're up against the carrier, you can smoke up and dodge their torpedoes maybe, but you'll be perma-spotted and everyone's focusing on you if you're on a press account. So they're pointless, right? You get way more focus than other players, and... a carrier perma spots you and negates the one advantage that you have as a stealth torp boat. So anyway, we're up against Shikijima, Vermont, Kurfürst, Minnesota, a Donskoy, an enemy Hayate, and a Z-52. Z-52 is a bit of an issue. So, and it's encounter, but at least no carrier. So lots of battleships. Let's see if we can get some torpedo hits in. The Donskoy obviously is a massive problem with the radar and the 180 mils, but I'm reasonably certain that I can outspot anything in this game, except for the enemy Hayate probably. So definitely the Z I should be able to outspot. So I should be able to get a drop on him and then sail away. The armor piercing is not bad on these guns, by the way, almost 500 points of damage. And yeah, you can definitely use. Alright, so let's head out there, engine boost up, 45 knots, and see if we can spot anything. There's one cruiser on our side who seems to be coming maybe around this way-ish. So having some backup is not a bad thing. And the rest of my team, 2 battleships are probably going to be staying behind, but we'll see. Okay, we've got 1 battleship spotted. 2 battleships spotted coming down this way. And anything else? Okay, 1 destroyer is on the other side. Oh, there's the Z. Alright, Z spotted. Where are you going, Z? Oh, I got myself spotted. Ah, that's alright. Z's got Hydra, so there's probably no way I'm going to be able to torpedo this guy. So I'm just going to drop my torpedoes kind of in this general direction and see if he's not been paying attention. And then I'm just going to bugger off again. And pretend I'm not a gunboat destroyer, because I don't want to get in a gunfight with the Z-52. That's a very bad idea. So I'm just going to dodge and weave and get unspotted. And I think he doesn't realize that I might have torpedoes. Oops. I'm sorry. Yeah, there come the Z-torps. Yeah, I wasn't gonna go that way. So, well. So you could think this is as ideal as it gets, right? I am in a torpedo boat destroyer, and I've got plenty of battleships over there, and all I need to do is stay hidden and torpedo those guys. Well, you would think that. You'd be wrong. Because of course, I can't be sitting around here waiting for half a minute not doing anything. I've got guns. What's the point of having these? I mean, on the Shima it's okay. The Shima's guns are garbage. But what's the point of these guns if I can't use them with all those smoke screens? So I'm going to smoke up, which means that, of course, they know that I'm here. And I'm going to start setting the Minnesota on fire. And the Minnesota is actually not completely stupid and doesn't damage con a single fire. So I won't let that burn. But it's coming under fire from all kinds of things. I haven't used my torpedoes yet because I want to get a Shima-like spread out once they are reloaded. Okay, they are now reloaded. And my smoke's about to expire, so let's see if we can get a permafire going on the Minnesota. Nah, not quite. Alright, there's a bunch of battleships over there. There's a Vermont, there's the Shiki, and there's the Minnesota. So I'm just gonna dunk some general torpedoes in that direction of these people. I mean, they're not paying attention to me, right, are they? They're just kind of paying attention to the enemy team, I guess. So then we're going unspotted. And then we can see if we can get ourselves into a sneaky position from where we can get some torpedo hits in. Because, by the looks of it, the Shikishima is actually running away. And that is because there's torpedoes coming from the other direction as well. So that's unfortunate. I was kind of hoping that my torpedoes would be able to catch all of these guys, but because they've been sailing away, I mean, they're still not looking at me. They're looking at the Worcester, but they're all sailing away from the torpedoes. Well, that's a shame. So now I once again got a 40-second torpedo reload. So what I should have done here, and actually let me pause it for a second. What I should have done here, you can see that I still have a smoke screen. I probably have enough space to turn around and get myself back again. Because so far, the only thing that's been killed in this game is the Z-52. There's still a Donskoy out there somewhere, and there's still the enemy Hayate out there as well. And the only backup I have over here is our cruiser, who's been pinging the map furiously to get us to cap. And no, I can't cap. And I'm not planning to cap. I mean, look at how close these battleships are to their own cap. But yeah, what I should have really done here is use my smoke and just turn around and get back into open water. Instead, I'm thinking, oh, these battleships aren't looking at me anyway, so I'm just going to slow down and going to use my guns. Unfortunately, at that point, these guys decide that they want to get their broadsides to bear to shoot at the Worcester, which means that now, unfortunately, I do no longer have the option of actually getting out of there. So I'm thinking, well, I'll set the Shikishima on fire until my smoke expires, but I'm dead. And there's only one way to go out here, and that is... And then I'm just gonna have to decide who I'm gonna who I'm gonna hurt. So Shiki is on fire, and I don't think I can get. He's turning, so I don't think I can actually get to. If I was going to get to the Shiki, no, he's in a full turn. I'm not gonna get him with torps, but I'm gonna be able to dunk some into the Kurfürst here. He is hydroing. His hydro is now on cooldown, but now I'm getting blapped by everybody. So I will just dunk my torpedoes into the Kurfürst, and then. Yeah, I'm gonna go down here, but I've done what I could at this point, and the Donskoy actually manages to take me out at this point. Yeah, so in a Shimakaze, I would have never been tempted. I mean, as much as I dislike the playstyle of a Shimakaze, I would have never been tempted to commit seppuku here by letting myself be boxed into a corner of the map. Now, fortunately, I have pulled these guys as back as possible. Unfortunately, two of our battleships are just sitting back in the capture circle. And there's an extremely low health Minnesota that I've torpedoed earlier. It'd be great if somebody killed that thing. Like, you know, that destroyer over there that is currently committing suicide by Dmitry Donskoy. Oh, that's the Shimakaze. You're not in a gunboat. You shouldn't be doing this in the first place. These two guys down here, they should actually be have been hammered by our battleships. Oh, I think we found the enemy Hayate. Oh, I think the Shimakaze just got himself torpedoed by Dmitry Donskoy and is now a very, very dead Shimakaze. And the Minnesota is still alive. And but while giving full broadside with two battleships sitting in our capture circle, trying to deal with the enemy with the enemy destroyer. You see, the Worcester would have been really useful in right about now at the baseline, rather than trying to duke it out with the battleships. And the Minnesota is still alive. And we're still behind on points because except for that Z-52 that I've killed, no one's killed anything. Yeah, no one's going to cap, my friend. Have you seen that there are 4 battleships, a Kurfürst, a Shikishima, 3 battleships, a low-health Minnesota, and that Donskoy is still alive. And that Yamato is playing the cruiser role. I mean, to be fair to him, he has to. He doesn't have a choice. And he actually gets the Hayate. Well done. Well, the problem is, for the last 2 minutes, he hasn't done anything else. So that Minnesota is still alive. That torpedo drop has a very convenient Shikishima-sized hole in the middle. So that Shiki isn't going to die. Is not even going to take any torps. and that means we are going to lose on points unless we are killing something very quickly. The Donskoy is actually heading towards our cap now. And the Minnesota is still alive and has gone undetected. The Kurfürst is still sitting down there. The Worcester has now run out of map because he's trying to, well, to be fair, he's trying to finish off the Kurfürst. The problem is, and he's making the right call here, right? Everybody, could you please kill the Kurfürst? He's on relatively low health. I mean, we would have won if you had killed the Minnesota that was on like 2,000 hit points about 2 minutes ago. But now the Worcester goes down because he also ran out of map. And that's game in the end. So, yeah, could have gone better. I mean, you see, we've done 100,000 points. I've done almost 100,000 points of damage. But obviously have let my personal preference of gameplay and the fact that this tries to be a gunboat destroyer without really necessarily being a gunboat destroyer of the traditional sense get the better of me. So yeah, this hasn't worked out as it should have. But anyway, so in summary, it's a very good ship. The way you want to play it is don't be a gunboat. Only use your guns to do things like set fires, but run away, kite away. Drop your torpedoes at close range, kite away, set fires, duke shots, these sort of things. Perfect against clumsy battleships. Perfect thing. Against enemy destroyers, difficult. Against cruisers, don't even try. So, and if there's a carrier in play, you're not going to have a great amount of fun. But yeah, if you like stealth torp boats, if you like the Shimakaze, this is definitely a good ship. She's not like more powerful than the Shima, I would say. I think they are comparable to a degree. She has slightly bit more options in terms of playstyle, but it's a double-edged sword. So that's that. And now that I'm done with it, I'll never have to play the ship again. That's it for today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.